glad you said today's the first, so I'm gonna go today.
You are up, Commissioner.
All right, Bannock County Commissioners are now in session. There's no indigent. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go into the Board of Ambulance. Brian,
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we enter into the Board of Ambulance.
motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ryan O'Hearn, Bannock County Ambulance District. I've got two items before you this morning. The first is a permission to apply for a grant application through FEMA under the Assistance to Firefighters Grant. This is one that we have been successful in the past. This year we're hoping to apply for a cardiac monitor. And the plan for that would be, we also have an ambulance before you today, and that would be additional equipment to equip that ambulance to be able to put it into service when we receive it.
Okay. The grant team's gone over this and they say it's a go according to them. Any questions?
It's 100% grant, or?
It is not. There would be a 10% local match on the AFG. The cost of the contract with Zoll for the ambulance, or excuse me, for the monitor is $46,841, and so the local match would be about 10%.
Thank you.
Further questions?
No. Mr.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the grant submission as requested.
So have a motion, all in favor say aye.
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 And the second item is a purchase agreement with Professional Sales and Services. This is an ambulance company under the brand name of Horton. We're looking to order a Type 1 ambulance. This would be an additional unit in our service. This isn't a replacement grant. This is increasing our fleet, and the idea would be to prepare for service in South County. We did receive a grant this year through Idaho EMS in the amount of $208,333 to offset the cost of this grant. I know that Idaho EMS has reached out to us to ask if we have an active purchase agreement. I think the intent there is that they would like to pre-fund this grant and send us the money as soon as we have an assigned purchase agreement for the ambulance.
The only concern I have on this agreement is they want us to do a prepayment, so they want us to pay for it all up front. That is not county practice. County practice is we don't pay for items until we receive them. The prepayment's only $4,500. I would request that, or recommend, that we not take advantage of the prepayment option and add $4,500 to the cost. We've got too many controls in place of when we pay for the asset. Once we've got it, we know it's the final cost. There's no allowances, it's actual final costs. It triggers to put items on insurance, those kinds of things. Where it's a grant, we would say proof of payment. This one might be a little bit different since it is they're going to prepay us instead of do the reimbursement. But that's what I would recommend.
Okay, any questions?
Does that cause those guys any heartburn if we do it this way?
I don't think so. I'll look into that before we sign the agreement. If there are any issues, I'll report back.
Okay.
John, any questions?
I agree with what she's saying. I wouldn't pay, what is it, 380 grand?
Well, I'm building a garage and they poured my concrete and weren't finished and asked for their money, and I said, no, you're not getting your money till I'm happy with the product.
I will say that the build time on this is 18 months, and so that it does put that delivery date out there a bit. This isn't like something that we're going to order and have in a few weeks or a few months.
And we can roll these funds into next year very easily.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the ambulance purchase with the delaying the prepay until ambulance is on site.
I'm sorry, Jeff, I didn't quite hear everything.
With delaying not do the prepay
until
the ambulance is on site.
Okay, thanks.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
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 I'll reach out to them and get an updated purchase agreement for your signature.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right. Motion go back.
Mr. Chair, I move that we exit the ambulance district.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jason?
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chair. I'm Jason Dye, Trial Court Administrator. We have, with the change in the public defenders going to the state, we have a reduction in the Thomas Reuter account for Westlaw account. Formerly, we had it for 31 attorneys, and now we've asked for a reduction down to 11 attorneys. So the total monthly bill would go from $3,368.28 to $1,235.08, and provide that for attorneys. The management account is over to the prosecutor's office, and they'll be able to adjust the rate if they become fully staffed or that as they go forward. But it'll remain at $112.28 per attorney account.
Okay. Steve, anything on that? Any comments, questions?
No.
Okay.
One caveat is when I reached out to them previously, they sent me an email and said the rate was adjusted, and then we received a bill for October and it was the old rate. And so I reached out to him. He said that they couldn't adjust it until this was signed, but they will give us credit for any paid bills that was paid, and they'll give us credit anything that is above the $1,235.08 going forward.
Do any of these licenses include judges? No?
So talking about that, the budget end of things, if this was budgeted in the public defense,
It was split.
it was,
Public defense paid their own, prosecutors paid their
Okay.
own. Each attorney, the way the bill was, each
Did
department
it.
paid the appropriate bill.
okay. All right.
And just make sure I heard you clearly, you did say that this could adjust if we added some more attorneys in the prosecutor's
Yeah,
department. Okay.
and I've introduced Alan from the prosecutor's office to Jeff, so that they have each other's contact information. I believe Alan is the account manager now, and so it's more streamlined for them to manage the account than to reach out to me to add attorneys and to adjust that.
Okay, that was my only concern, so. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the new contract with Thomson Reuters as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. Shanda?
Good morning, Commissioners. Shanda Crystal, Chief Procurement Officer. I have 3 items before the board today. These are all contracts that we went out to bid for the exhibit hall. That's what I've got for you. I am asking for a potential signature on a contract with Sharon Air Conditioning. They won the HVAC bid for that project in the amount of $134,800.
Questions, comments?
No, Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the contract as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 The second contract I have before the board is for the exhibit hall ceiling. That has been awarded to KJ's Acoustics. I apologize, I should have started with the beginning. All 3 of these companies have submitted all of their ARPA required paperwork. So the contract with KJ Acoustics, I would ask that the board sign the contract for $16,185.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the contract with KJ Acoustics as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor, say aye.
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 The final contract I have before the board is for the exhibit hall plumbing project. That bid was awarded to Portland Valley Plumbing in the amount of $81,700, and I would ask that the board, I recommend that the board sign the contract with Portland Valley Plumbing.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the contract with Portland Valley Plumbing as presented.
We have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Christie?
Mr. Clauser, Comptroller, the first item I have for the board is a annual county vessel report. We have to report funds received and used on the waterways funds. We also report on the snowmobile funds. The snowmobile funds, only the clerk signs. The waterways, the commission has to sign as well. So the clerk certifies the monies in, monies out, and ending balances. But the part the commission needs to sign is we have rollover funds of $15,346.03. And of those funds, I did an explanation of how I anticipate using those dollars in the future. And then I just need the chairman to sign.
I didn't think we could roll those funds over.
We can roll over a certain dollar amount. As long as your revenue, as long as your ending fund balance is lower than your revenue received for the year, we can.
So if we received 20,000, we could roll over 15.
Yes.
If we received 20, we could roll over 25.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And then this reporting of excess funds is fairly new over the last couple of years. And I just explained that we would use the funds for the wellness complex reservoir and then access to Portland River. Those were two projects that the board had talked about in the past. We didn't get to the Portland River access this year. We used the funds up at the wellness complex to try to get that water level.
That's my first priority every year.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the reporting and remittance for the waterways funds as presented.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll get this sent.
How did I know that?
I'll send Christie a copy. It just helps me keep track of what I've got to do. The next item I have for the board is acceptance of a couple of grants for Wes. The first is the EMPG for 2024. These funds are the match. We receive 50% reimbursement for any costs associated with Wes and Karen and their activities. And per the award, $50,454.57 is the match, and that's how much they'll reimburse us if we spend that full amount. Otherwise, it's just 50% of whatever we spend.
Questions?
Nope. Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the EMPG acceptance grant, or grant acceptance as presented.
Have a motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I do have a bit of a change. The next grant is for Homeland Security. I emailed Wes on this and haven't heard back yet. In the past, the commission has accepted the Homeland Security funds. This is just an allotment that the state gives us. However, I want to change and add a little bit more transparency to this process. Within this grant, Wes has certain guidelines of how he can spend that money by certain categories. For example, public education and outreach. He has abilities to spend $5,973.60. He can spend money on trainings, equipment, supplies, radios, expenses related to training, more training, and then contract staff for $15,000. This breakout equals the $119,472 that were allotted. The board has not seen this piece of the grant before, so I wanted to bring that to their attention. And then also to help protect Wes, I wanted to get clarification on, as he spends these funds, he meets with an advisory group, and they determine what items will be purchased within these categories and which entity will receive that benefit. In the past, that's always just been a practice that that individual has done in his position. And I don't know if the board would like to give that formal approval for him to take that action, just as a, lack of better terms, a CYA for him, because commissioners change. It could be questioned as to why he's taken that authority upon himself. But I think they do a good job, and it's not him solely making that decision. He has a group that they work together on that process, but I think for his protection, there needs to be some formal action giving him that ability.
And I agree with you there. I think that we have done this with up the event center to give authority to spend X amount of dollars or whatever. I think that it would be good to give Wes the authority from the commissioners to spend that money.
And then ultimately,
Comments about that?
Ultimately, what I'd like to do is, within some of these categories, he'll make the purchase, bring the invoice in, and then the board will sign it. But there are some purchases that are made directly by Homeland Security, and those invoices never come before the board. And so those items, what I want to do moving forward, and that's the next agenda item, is to have you sign those items that I had always just journal entered in so that we could do the appropriate accounting for the single audit, because these are federal funds. And so that's one step farther to help protect him as well, is showing that, one, the transparency that you've seen it, but also your ultimate approval.
I mean, and that's the same thing that we do up at the event center. Them bills eventually come through us, but they have the authority to spend them, and I think that we follow the same process. Any concerns?
Who's the group that Wes works with?
Darren, I'm pretty sure, is a part of it. And I think he's got representatives from the different emergency service or public safety entities. I'm
From
not,
like the Digby group, or?
I'm not 100% sure. I just know there's a group, but I've never heard names. Darren is always involved.
Oh, if Darren's involved, then I'm good with that.
But beyond that, I am not sure who, and I'm not even exactly sure of the process. I don't know if, say, a volunteer fire department comes before and says, hey, we're in need of radios. I'm not sure how those needs are presented, or how they're weighed through. That could be something that you could do a follow-up with Wes, just to have an idea of it. I've not gotten that positive.
Okay. No, that's fine. I just didn't
Probably be good in your one-on-ones with him to have this discussion.
Yeah.
A motion? One on the grant?
Accept the grant.
Yeah. Ms. Chair, I'd move that we accept the federal grant as discussed and authorize invoices to be paid directly by the granting agency with the group's oversight. Is that right? Okay.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 The last item I have for the board is a list of invoices that were paid directly by Bureau of Homeland Security. For example, some were radios and programming for Motorola, CDW with some equipment, Day Wireless with some other equipment. Total was $56,030.34. This is a fairly significant amount of money, which is again why I would like the board to formally approve these. When I do the journal entry for the activity, I show the revenue and also the expenditures, because the money does not get reimbursed since it's directly paid.
Any concerns?
Nope.
Motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the invoices as presented.
We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Did you get a copy of that? No, it's this
What's
one.
this one?
That last page was the breakout of how the funds can be spent.
Can't be spent.
And then those are what were actually spent in '24, outside reimbursements.
Okay? All right, thank you. Was Kyle gonna show up? We have, where did I put it? So, Public Works Director seeking approval of a signature on modification of grant of agreement with the USDA Forest Service.
I do not, yeah, that's interesting. He was invited.
This
You
is
talked to
the,
him.
yeah, this is the cleaning of the parking lot up there in the, excuse me, snowmobile areas. And this is the same one that we've signed in the previous 2 years.
Something that you carried over from last.
No, this is not the same thing that we talked about last Friday. This is the different. Last Friday was the actual snow grooming trail. This is for clearing the snow in the parking lot. So,
And this is the
Yeah, he was invited.
same as the one that we've had in the past.
yes.
Any questions on it? Motion?
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we approve the contract with the Forest Service as included in the packet.
All right. We have a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Steve, come on up. Got some confusion here a little bit. Well, in our packet, we don't have a salary rate approval form for either one.
Huh, I talked to Brian, I know he completed one on Ian, and my understanding was that that was submitted. But the board does not have that in front of it.
We don't, it's not in our packet. I don't have that, and I don't have his letter for conditional, what is it?
Exceptional
Exceptional
placement.
Exceptional
And it
placement
was supposed to be an agenda request for that one.
in the letter either, in our packet either. The commissioners each received one, but it wasn't submitted and put into our packet.
Each received a letter in support of the exceptional placement.
Yes, you received one, right?
But he's supposed to do a agenda request to put it on the agenda because there is no SAR approval form, so it doesn't fall under that.
So it's not on the agenda today.
For Scott Pearson?
Or
We're not in executive session.
Oh, okay. My fault.
So the exceptional placement letter was sent to each commissioner, but it wasn't put in the packet. It wasn't requested. And Christie had conversation with Brian to request the opportunity to put it in the packet, and that never happened. And so we don't have either one's salary rate approval form or the letter in our packet today. So I don't think that we can go ahead and have the
With either
conversation.
personnel issue.
Well, that shortens things up.
It does.
I don't know what to say. When I went through the packet and looked at it and stuff this morning, I have one salary rate approval form. I don't have the others. And
And the one you do have is for,
this is for a different employee and a different,
okay.
Well, we have some work to do, and we'll get that done and get back.
yeah. And I coordinate with Christie and Christie on getting it in the packet, so we.
Basically, just fill out an agenda request for the one exceptional placement that does not have a SAR approval form. And then, honestly, you might as well just put, discuss two employees.
And actually, under our consent agenda, we have salary rate approval forms. And we could go into the executive session, but it's not in the packet at all to even talk about, so. I just feel like if it was anybody else, I'd turn to Brian and say, what's your opinion? And they'd say, well, it's not in the packet.
Fair enough.
Sorry to occupy your time, but
No, that's okay. We'll correct these issues, and we'll get back in front of you.
all right.
Okay,
Thank you.
talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, the next, we do have an executive session to talk about our funds.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that we enter into executive session under Idaho Code 74-2061F to communicate with legal counsel.
Commissioner Huff,
Yes.
Commissioner